welcome to the channel. I'm Susan. Today we are off on our very first car camping trip of 2023, and I've got Gracie and Freddie with me. We are heading out not too far from home, and we're just going for one night, but I've got a new car camping car setup that I wanted to show you, and a few new items that I've added to my car camping arsenal. Parts of this road are really bad. They need to do something about those big potholes. I'll take you back to yesterday when I loaded the car with the stuff for car camping. First things first, I need to get the back of the car cleaned out. Now I need to go and change my shirt because it has gotten really hot out here and I am sweating. So now that I've got everything in the car, I'm going to show you how I've set it up with all the stuff that I put in here. So first of all, here is my bed, which I am just using a sleeping bag on for the one night overnight trip. Underneath, I'm using the sofa cushions that I saved from a sofa that we threw away. I did a video about that. I'll leave links down in the description for videos that I am going to reference in here and any products that I talk about. But the cushions were still in really good shape, so I saved them, and I'm glad I did it because it makes a really comfortable bed and it's really easy to get in and out being 3 cushions. And the back of the car, the hatchback, and the back of the passenger seat hold the cushions together so they don't move around while I'm sleeping. It works really, really well, and they're easy to store. So that's the bed. Over here is my new water setup. I used to have a little white stool underneath here that held the water jug up. Now I'm using a little drawer that I found at a secondhand store. I find just about everything at secondhand stores that has a drawer in it rather than just a stool. And in the drawer, I can hold my butane stove, my little pop-up sink. I have a whisk broom in here, as well as my spray bottle of vinegar that I use for washing the dishes. They all fit in here nice and neat, whoops, except for the broom, and stay in there nice and tight because the door keeps it all closed. The water sits on top, but I also added a chopping block that I also found at a secondhand store. And it was like brand new. I re-oiled it with food grade mineral oil, and it fits on here really nicely, and it gives me a nice work surface to cook on or cut things on or just to put stuff on. Works really well. Behind that goes my wooden TV table that I was using last year, another secondhand store find. It sits in there nice and tight. The water jug is all strapped in with bungees. Have had no problem with it staying put at all. I undo it when I'm in camp because then I can pull it forward and have something underneath here for the water to go into. But otherwise for travel, it's all strapped in there. And then we have the box that I used last year. It's the wooden box that I keep all my dry goods in. And I'll give you a closer look at that in a little bit. And then in the very back there is another box that I had all my scrapbooking paper in, and I've repurposed it now to hold all kinds of stuff in the car camper. It's really handy and it helps me to stay organized. Between the bed and everything else here, I keep my outdoor mat. It just is a small one, so it slides in there between the back of this drawer and the back of the driver's seat. It's all very compact, but as long as everything has a place, I stay organized. In this box, I am keeping all kinds of stuff. There's all sorts of things in here. I've got baby wipes. I've got some really good heavy-duty tent stakes. I have this awning that I bought last summer that I just love. It really adds a lot of living space, I guess, to the car camper. I have my pee cloth, my pee bottle. This is all my bathroom stuff, and this is my fold-up chair. I have a 12-volt blanket that plugs into a cigarette lighter type socket that I'm going to be using with the All Powers S700 battery bank that I did another video on that you've already seen, but I haven't actually filmed it at this point. That is going to be used if I need it. I don't think it's going to get that cold. That sleeping bag is pretty warm, but I've got it just in case I need it. I also have something I found at a Goodwill store down in the States, a little Coleman lantern that is rechargeable, and it came with all the cords, and I paid $5.49 for it. Pretty good. I also have a little USB plug-in fan that I can put in my window if I need some air circulation. This is actually a hiker's mosquito shelter that I drape over the hatchback door when the door is open in the back, and it keeps the bugs out just in case it is buggy. We haven't had too many bugs this year. There's been a few mosquitoes around, but considering it's been really wet this spring, we haven't had a lot of bugs, which is nice, but I've got this just in case. And then I have my poo bags just in case. So that all fits in here, and there's still room for more stuff. But I like that I can put it all in here, and it's not, you know, tucked into various places in the car. It's easy to get to from inside the car or outside of the car. And it's a nice flat surface to put stuff on when I'm in the car. Not have to load it all back in. Another thing that I added is these pillowcases. They're for covering cushions on your sofa, you know, throw pillows, but they have zippers on them, so you could take them off. You buy them just without the cushion in it. But inside of them, I'm going to be storing my clothing, and I am bringing a raincoat with me. Even though there's no rain in the forecast, you know Murphy's Law that says if you don't bring a raincoat, it will rain, and if you bring a raincoat, it won't. So this is my insurance. It's also got a lining, so it'll keep me warm if it gets too chilly. But I have two of them, and this one has jeans and shirt and socks and underwear, and it also has the mosquito net for my windows, so I can access those really easily as well. So I think these will work really well for keeping my extra clothes in. And because I'm just doing a quick overnight trip, I really don't need a whole lot of clothing, so I probably won't use most of this except maybe the underwear and socks. But yeah, so handy. As well as nice to have something to lean up against. Can't really sit very straight up in these cars because they're low ceiling, they're not an SUV. Having something to lean up against saves your back. So I pulled my little wooden box out of where it usually goes, just so I can show you how I'm using it. So it has a hinged lid. Inside I have things in bags to kind of separate them. So in here I have my plates and cutlery, my cooking utensils, I have some bowls, everything but my coffee cup, because I keep my coffee cup in with my coffee maker. So I can just pull this out and I've got the whole shebang that I need for making a cup of coffee. As well as I've got things like coffee and tea. I have a can of cream in case I need it. As well as dog treats and cat treats. I have coffee filters, salt and pepper. Dry goods are what this box is for. So any kind of food related things that are not going to go bad if they're left out in the car in the hot sun, or I can store them away in the box and not have to unpack it every time I come back from car camping. I try to keep it to a minimum and just eat real simple. So I don't need a lot of spices and things like that. A lot of times when I'm going out, I have food that I prepared at home and I keep it in the cooler just to be able to pull it out and heat it up or eat it cold. So I'm going to be adding a few things that are simple, like instant oatmeal in the little packages, or just simple things like that. Maybe cup of noodles. I don't really like those things, but if, you know, push comes to shove, I'll eat it because I'm hungry. So there's still lots of room in here to put stuff, but because it's only a one-night trip, I'm not going to load it up with stuff. But that's what's in my little dry box. Down here you can see where I've got my 12-volt cooler. I'm not going to pre-cool it for this trip just because it's a short trip, but I am going to use some ice packs in there just to keep a few things that I'm taking with me cold, and that should be sufficient. It just fits in there perfectly, and it's amazing that it's actually the same height as the back seat when it's folded down, so it holds up the front of my bed. Works really, really well. Plus, it's a Coolitron brand, and I like Coolitron because it's actually a Canadian company, and their products are made in Canada, which I really like. is my basic car camping setup at the moment. Things are always going to change because I'm always going to find something that I think is going to work better. But at the moment, this seems to work pretty good for me. This little canopy that goes off the back of the hatchback is really handy because if it's raining, you can see it's windy right now and it's blowing in. I haven't staked it down, but it covers up the back of the car so I can stand in there. It also has legs that I could prop up and stake down, tie down. It's a whole process. And because I'm only going to be here one night, I'm not going to bother to do that. But it does give me some privacy when it's like this in the back of the car without people being able to be walking by and staring inside my car. Not that people are going to stare inside my car, but you know what I mean. I don't know why Gracie is sitting in the fire pit, but maybe she thinks she's camouflaged. I don't know. Fred is on the lookout for squirrels and other predators. And this is where I'm using the little white stool that I originally bought to put my water jugs on in the back. It's now holding up my All Powers S700 power station, which putting it on that makes it easy to access the solar power plugins, and the solar panel slides in there between the battery and the box there. I'll show you. So it just slides in there nice and neat. Any luck?
Yeah, actually, a couple.
Oh, good.
Nothing huge, but I mean, you know, I'm gonna write home about it.
Good. this is dry during the summertime. This is spring, and this is a lake that holds one of Summerlin's water reservoirs. So right now it is full to overflowing.